There, I think we're logged in. Let's start the music. Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Alyx King. Today is Thursday, January the 30th, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time, and wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And today is a challenge to be happy. I'm finding today to be quite challenging, Alyx, because I'm dealing with one of the worst things you can deal with that is not deadly, that is not terrorist related. It's it's the IRS. Now, there are going to be some people who complain about putting the IRS in the same category. Complain all you want to.
That's why I said, isn't it terroristic though?
No, it's not terroristic. It's just kind of bumbling more than anything else.
Yeah.
But the Affordable Health Care Act and the way it has been implemented in Connecticut has wreaked all kinds of havoc in the lives of Walt and Louise, because Louise became a Medicare recipient last year, and it appears, I'm not 100% sure of this yet, it appears that the Connecticut Health website doesn't properly take that into account, which means I'm left with a nice $2,500 tax bill I didn't expect, which is that's not a happy thing. So I'm still working on that one, and I figured that becomes a good topic. How do you deal with stuff when all of a sudden you're doing great? I mean, I had this great vacation. I was away for 10 days. I was smiling all the time. I come back and all of a sudden, bam, hit between the eyes with this really, really unpleasant situation. This is what separates the men from the boys, I got to tell you. It does, because this is where you have to really show, okay, I'm going to find the positive side. I'm going to find the parts that I like. And I'm struggling to find them right now, but I'm going to find them. I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to find them. Just the fact that I'm doing a podcast with you, that's a good thing all by itself. That helps
this is what I'm saying.
It rights the ship,
I think in the positive, we can think that hopefully this mess will get cleared up sooner than later.
Exactly. Yes. And you know what? I think it will.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it will. I mean, if I were
that's not for us to figure out.
Exactly. I mean, if I were just looking at this rationally, I'd say I don't see any way for this to work out other than me shelling out a bunch of money I don't have.
No.
But it's not going to work that way. That's all there is to it. And I have no better answer than that at this point.
Right.
So that's the challenge I'm dealing with, and that's kind of like half our topic. Now you have the other half of the topic, and again, it's a big kind of challenge to deal with, a different kind of challenge, but it's a major challenge nonetheless.
Yes, I like to challenge us.
So tell us about it.
Today we're going to discuss grief. Grief meaning the loss of how we. I'm not going to say get over, because that's a rough situation, but how we deal with the loss of someone close to us.
That's a hard thing. I mean,
it is.
It does in some ways relate to how long that person who passed has been on this earth and what the situation was and so forth. I mean, there are extenuating circumstances that can affect that, but
there are.
By and large, it's still a major issue, and it's a tough one. And when you compare, say, an IRS issue to that, it doesn't really compare. Right?
Right.
So these are very challenging areas. That's why I titled today's show Thursday LOA Challenges, because challenges, they pop up.
They do.
They pop up when we least expect them. And they can pop up even when you've been in a good high vibration place.
Yeah.
Which is disturbing. I mean, it feels like you shouldn't have that happen, but life happens.
Life does happen, and the universe is always challenging us, so you got to keep an eye out.
So what do we do?
Oh man, I mean, we have to be grateful and appreciate the things that aren't getting in our way, and appreciate the things that are going our way, as opposed to dwelling on the fact that one or two things aren't going our way.
Yeah, I agree. That appreciation thing, it's kind of like a starting point for anything where conscious creation is concerned. No matter what your state is, you really want to start with appreciation, because it lifts you up wherever you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now I will say, especially with grief, I mean, not so much. Well, I guess with this IRS issue, you could have it there too. Although usually you're starting from anger, which is an easier place to come from.
Mm-hmm.
But with grief, you're pretty far away from gratitude. I mean, you
Mm.
just lost somebody. How do you find gratitude in that situation?
I like to think of remembering all the good times you had with that person and how long
Mm,
and how well they lived their life while they were here on their earth life.
mm, yeah. That it sounds good in theory.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to think of in that moment, but I like to think like after the funeral, we do a thing called a repast, and that's when we all the family get together and we eat and we talk, and food is the best thing for grieving, let me tell you. So you're sitting there with your family and you're discussing all the good times. Oh, remember when he did this, or remember when she did that, or over mashed potatoes. It's a good time.
Hmm.
You end up
Okay.
going home with a better feeling than when you got there.
Well, it does remind me of a situation that occurred in our family on Louise's side of the family, actually,
Mm-hmm.
when her sister's husband, her brother-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
passed about two
Uh-huh.
years ago. And we went to visit them during that time,
Mm-hmm.
her sister, her niece, and her nephew, and spent time with them, during all the wake, the funeral, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And after the funeral, there's, like you said, there's everybody gets together and there's food and there's a
Yep.
lot of chat and so all that kind of thing. And I found myself sitting next to my sister-in-law, the
Mm-hmm.
woman who lost the husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, I knew she was hurting. She's not
Yeah.
the kind of person who shows it,
Right.
if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew she was hurting inside, and you could just tell the whole. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. The whole wake funeral process will just wear you down all by
Oh,
itself,
yes, yes, definitely.
right? So she was being affected by that, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to help
Mm-hmm.
shift her attention, shift her energy. And so I used a method that I had originally successfully used with Louise about a year before that, kind of by
Mm-hmm.
accident. I'd stumbled on this thing that worked really well, so I tried it again.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm serious. I just stumbled on it. What I basically did was to refocus on what it is that she loved about him.
Right.
And the way I said it in that case was I actually didn't know Joe, the guy who passed. I didn't know him really, really well. He was at our wedding,
Right.
and I'd seen him like one or two other times, but I believe it or not, I'd never had a conversation with the guy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
that's just the way it had worked out. I never
Right.
really got to know him. I knew he was a good guy just from the
Mm-hmm.
stories I'd heard, but I never talked to him. So that was
Right.
my entree. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said to Lee, I said, you know, I don't really know Joe very well. Tell
Mm-hmm.
me why you loved him so much. Tell me why he was so special to you.
Aw.
And what happened was kind of similar to what had happened with Louise the previous time when I raised the same kind of question. It was about, in
Ah.
that case, it was about her stepmother passing.
Mm-hmm.
Her whole countenance changed
Yeah.
and she started to smile.
Yeah.
And she told me what it was that had kind of won her over to him when he was
Mm-hmm.
courting her way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he was one of the few people who could make her laugh,
Oh, that's always a given. Yeah.
right?
You can make me laugh. You're in there like swimwear.
Yeah. And that was the case with her too. I mean, and if you know Lee, she's a tough cookie.
Mm-hmm.
She's well, she's a school teacher. She teaches high
Okay.
school history. So I mean,
Oh.
you have to have a certain degree of thick
Yeah.
skin to do that kind of work, right?
Mm-hmm. Shout out
Um,
to all my high school history teachers.
there you go. And she had kind of carried that on in life. So
Yeah.
everything about her, there was like this strong barrier you never got past. He
Mm-hmm.
got past the barrier with his humor,
Yeah.
and he got her to laugh. And apparently, he got her to laugh for the rest of their marriage, which lasted 35 plus years.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, yeah. So just talking about what it is that you love about someone who's just passed, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what you were hinting at,
Mm-hmm.
it shifts the whole energy.
It does. It does.
You
Because then
know?
you start thinking about the good times as
Mm,
opposed to how they left this earth and what we're dealing with now.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, is that now? Are you talking from experience? Because you said the same thing essentially of shifting your attention to what it is that you loved about the person, or what funny stories, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about that from experience? Like you had a particular situation where somebody passed and you were involved in kind of shifting the whole vibration around?
Yeah, my uncle had passed about a month ago, right before Christmas, actually.
Oh.
And so now my uncle is who I'm related to, but his wife and I had gotten closer as he was getting sicker. So
Mm,
now I feel this responsibility to like make sure she's okay and call her
yeah.
every couple of days. And she,
Yeah.
she's having a rough time. They've been married for almost 30 years, I think. So
Mm,
yeah, and he died of cancer.
hmm.
And yeah, so she's having a rough time. So yeah, I've taken it upon myself, being the closest person to her, to make sure she's okay and dealing and handling as best she can.
So what have you been using as techniques? I mean, we're trying to figure out
Um,
what techniques we can pass along to listeners. What can they, right?
well, I'm always making her laugh. I'm always keeping her abreast of my dating situation because she's been there through all of them. So
Right.
she really likes Kenny this time. So we're doing weekly updates of the relationship. And recently, I found some pictures in my phone of my uncle at different events that I guess she didn't have. And
Oh.
she was looking for these pictures for the funeral. And I didn't get to go to the funeral because it was in Virginia. But
Mm.
so she didn't know who to ask or what or how to get it out of her phone or whatever happened. And I sent her these pictures and I was like, I just found these on my phone. And she was like, I was looking for these pictures. So she started crying, but like happy tears.
Right.
And yeah, so stuff like that I'm doing, and
Hmm.
reminding her of, I was like, oh, when this one time me and Uncle Gary blah blah blah, and start telling a good story and stuff like that, things she didn't know before she met him when I was a kid and stuff like that.
That's very cool. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kind of lays out for somebody who wants to help somebody else. What can you do? What
Mm-hmm.
can you do to
Mm-hmm.
help?
Yeah.
So now let's turn it around the other way. What if you're the person who's grieving because you lost somebody? I mean, it's a different
Well,
kettle of
that's
fish.
the thing. It's
That's the hard time, right?
Yeah, it's still hard because I'm also grieving because I lost my uncle,
True.
but I'm like, I don't know. I put it secondary because that was his wife. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's hard, but I did my grieving. But see, my grieving's different because of the autism. I'm just like, all right, I cried for an hour and now I'm good. Like, I treasured his life. It was great. He left too soon, but who's to say what's too soon? So, and then I just move on very quickly.
Okay, so you're saying that you did that because of autism?
I'm saying I grieve quicker than most people
Why do you think that
because
is?
I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just how I've always been. Like even me and my grandmother were best friends and she died and I was just like, well, I'll delete that number. And I just moved on. I was just can't call that number anymore. Okay. Moving on. And I was, we went to her funeral, we did the memorial and I was sad. I can't say I was actually sad. She lived till 96. So it's like, she had plenty of time here. It was her time to go. And same thing with my great aunt and everybody actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret. Now, I've
Hmm.
never been diagnosed as Asperger's or autism or
Hmm.
anything like that. And to the best of
Hmm.
my knowledge, I don't fit on the spectrum. And yet, I mean, I've never been tested, so how would I know?
Right.
Um, I have very much the same kind of response.
Really.
I do. I
Hmm.
do. Yeah. I mean, I won't say that death is never distressing. It is,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it doesn't last for me.
Yeah.
And
See,
I
for
don't.
me, I'm more concerned about the people that are left behind
Hmm. Yeah.
because I'm like, why are we dwelling on the person that's gone? Like, yes, we cherish his memory, but he's no longer here.
Which is what memorial services and funerals and all that are really
Right.
for.
Those
You
are the
know.
appropriate times to do
Yeah.
that.
Although I have heard through psychic mediums and so forth,
Hmm.
this always struck me as both a little creepy and very humorous at the same time.
Hmm.
I've heard that the deceased often shows up at their own memorial services and funerals.
I'm definitely going. I'm definitely going. And if I see anybody there that I didn't really like in real life, and they're just like, "Oh no, Alex is gone," but no, we didn't have a real friendship. I'm gonna be mad if somebody doesn't say something. Yeah, Definitely.
Well, I'll tell you another story from the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
My sister-in-law's husband dying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by the time the funeral came around, I mean, this is a full Catholic mass and wake and funeral, so it's like
Oh,
it's the rough kind, right?
yeah, the rough kind.
It is rough. It is.
It
I
is.
mean,
It
oh my
is.
goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect intended to any given religion, but I think the Catholics have it in for people who are grieving. I mean, they just put them through all kinds of. I mean, it's like an endless pain
Mm-hmm.
process. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. Anyway, that's enough of that. But anyway, at the funeral, at one point, the priest is leading the funeral mass, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what portion of it was, but it was a key portion where he puts out a question of some kind, and I
Uh-huh.
can't remember what the question was, but he puts it out, and as he puts it out, a cell phone starts beeping.
Rude.
And my wife, who's sitting next to me, leans over to me and says, "That's Joe. He says it's getting far too serious."
Yeah, I co-sign on that.
Yeah. And I kind of believe that was probably true. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you believe that, the spirit of the deceased does hang around to see what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine from I mean, everything I knew about this guy
Uh-huh.
was he was just a big teddy bear. He was a sweetheart. He was well respected. He was a sports writer for most of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Very well known in New Jersey, especially southern New Jersey. Had a lot of friends, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
followers, and so forth. So this is a very popular guy. And
Yeah.
everything I knew about him was that he was just likable. People
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
liked him, and
Mm-hmm.
they felt good around him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got my sister-in-law to laugh. I mean, how bad can that be, right?
I mean, that's a plus right there.
So when you have somebody like that, and if you do believe that that people can come back in spirit to
Mm-hmm.
such an event, I can see him coming
Yeah.
back and saying, "This is getting too heavy. We got to turn this around."
Yeah, that's why I don't think I want a funeral. I think we'll do the memorial service, but we're gonna make it a party. We're gonna celebrate my life. We're not gonna have tears. We're gonna have drinks and music. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, I always thought the New Orleans funerals had it right,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Let's
I
dance in the
mean,
street
well,
with umbrellas.
mostly
I love
right.
it.
Mostly right. They start off with the funeral dirge, and they're sadly walking down the
Hmm.
street, and then they
Hmm.
pause, and then they break into this Dixieland thing,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and that's the part that I thought was really good
Hmm.
because now it's no longer about feeling pain, feeling
Right,
suffering, and so
right.
forth.
Hmm.
I mean, somebody who went through, I guess you mentioned your uncle had cancer. That can often
Yeah,
be a very painful thing to go through,
right,
but
right.
he's not going through it anymore.
Exactly, exactly.
So it's
And that's how
actually a relief.
yes, it is. He's no longer suffering.
Right.
Hmm.
So, yeah, these are all ways that it really comes down to how are we going to look at the situation. We can
Yeah.
look at it in terms of the grief and the pain, or we can look at it in other terms.
Exactly. We can find the good in that too.
So now I'm going to try to see if I can apply the same principle to dealing with an
The
IRS tax
IRS.
issue.
Are you grieving over your taxes?
Not so much grieving as pissed, but
Yes, I totally get that, man.
like, okay, yeah. So
Well,
I think,
Jeffrey's feeling very grateful of after we started talking about feeling grateful. So he is
oh,
saying,
good.
I appreciate that we have affordable health care. Things are always working out for me. Thank you for the opportunities to learn and grow. Thank you for comfort food. Thank you for happy
Hmm.
memories. And thank you for people that can make me laugh.
No, those are good. Those are
Those
really
are
good.
all
I
good.
like that.
Yes.
And
And I agree with Jeffrey.
by the way, I like the fact that you're able to stay on it because my computer still isn't fixed. So thank you for staying on top. And at least now we can acknowledge the YouTube live streamers that we have not been able to acknowledge the last couple of days. So this is an improvement. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
it is. No problem.
And yeah, Jeffrey, you just keep right on posting those posts because we'll pick them up.
Exactly.
And we'll pass them along. Yeah, and I agree with everything he said. That's
I do
really, I
too.
think that's the key. I mean, and I really do believe what we said earlier. Somehow this IRS issue is going to work out. I don't know
Yes.
how. I mean, certainly on this side of it, it doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't look good right now, but
it
you know
doesn't
what?
look good now.
A lot of problems start out that way.
Well, the ones that we pay most attention to and get all worked up about are the ones
Hmm.
that start out exactly that way.
That's why they're called problems.
That's right. Well, often major problems.
Yes. Oh man.
it's all going to work. And that's what I keep trying to tell myself. That's what I was actually literally what I was telling myself when I was talking to the person at the Connecticut Health Exchange. I was
Mm-hmm,
talking to
mm-hmm.
them on the phone. I just have to make one comment. The person I was speaking to really needs to stop mumbling.
Oh no.
Everything was coming out.
Get
And
your diction together.
you're spending half the time saying, what did she
What?
just say?
That is not the type of phone call you want to have. You definitely want to understand what they're saying.
So it's a real test to see,
Yeah.
okay, can I stay on top of the positive side? And I
Mm-hmm.
actually managed to crack a joke or two to get her to laugh. So that was that was an improvement. But it's a challenge.
Right.
When you're faced with that really unpleasant situation and you're having to find the silver lining that you really can't see, that is a challenge. It reminds
Mm-hmm.
me of a phone call that Joel Elson talked about one time.
Okay.
He doesn't have, Joel as well as I do. He doesn't have
Right.
any bad days.
No,
His
no.
days are almost always good.
Right.
But he had one of those very rare, no good, really bad days
Mm-hmm.
where he
Mm-hmm.
ended up calling the call center of a cable provider.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember this story.
Cable provider or a telephone company. I can't remember which. And he went into that call in a way that was not Joel like.
Yeah.
He
I
went
think it
into
was
it
the cable
combatively.
company because I remember arguing with him about Xfinity.
Oh, okay. Well. So yes, and he went into that call, and of course, it just turned into a disaster because he went
Mm-hmm.
into it combatively.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got off the call and almost instantly recognized his mistake, which is what a true master does anyway.
Yes. Yes.
And ended up getting himself back into alignment in Abraham terms, and then made another call. And this time went in with the intention that somehow, some way, this is going to work out well.
Mm-hmm.
And as he got somebody on the phone, he explained the situation and just was maintaining that viewpoint as best he possibly could, despite the overwhelming evidence of the senses saying, no, this is going to be a bad
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
And it did turn out well. I don't remember what the details were, but it
Mm-hmm.
turned out better than he expected. The whole thing got ironed out like within seconds. The
Mm-hmm.
bad thing went away.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, life was good again.
Yeah. That's how you got to handle it.
And it worked.
Yeah.
When I say it worked, I mean, getting into that frame of mind actually ended up producing the desired result.
Exactly.
Against all odds.
I got to take that and start doing that because I definitely, when I have to call a company, I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw a bitch fit and I'm getting my money back. And that's how I start the conversation. Yeah, soon as I hit that number and I press 1 for English, I'm like, yep, it's going to be a problem.
That's definitely spoiling for a fight.
But I do follow it up with, but I'm getting my money back.
So I'm getting my money back, but I'm going to have a hard time doing it. And I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
Yep, exactly. Not I'm going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Unicorn Kitty is coming out and she's got her horn sharpened.
Always, always. Speaking of which, side story, I have to tell you this because I'm just like, I don't even know what to do anymore. Okay. So I just found out that in the dating world, there is a term called unicorn, and you will not believe what it actually means.
Let's see. What would unicorn mean? Being one of a kind?
In a way, because that's where it came, the whole unicorn thing came from, is the being on dating sites and being that like, I'm so rare and magical, like you want to date me. But apparently, I was wrong. Being a unicorn means you're bisexual and you are bisexual female and you are willing to be part of a throuple, which is a couple that's already a couple. You're willing to be the third person. I was like, what? So I don't know what to do with my brand now. I'm like,
I think that this is a good time to practice shifting the popular meme.
Okay. This is why I came to you, because I'm like, I've been upset about it for like 2 whole days. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Well, we can't have that.
No, we can't. I'm like, I got to return my headphones. I got to return my shirts. I'm like, oh my God.
No, I think this is where you get out Unicorn Kitty.
Okay.
And basically you say, well, okay, if that's what you want it to be, you can make it that, but that's not what it is. Here's what it really is.
Okay.
Maybe get on to, I mean, they have the websites, right, where you can find out what, Urban Dictionary or whatever to find out what terms mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Become a member and give an alternative definition.
All right, so I'm gonna sign up for Wikipedia after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who came along and said, well, I am the final authority on what these weird new terms mean?
That's a fact. I was talking to my mother this morning about that because she was like, oh, I can't have salad yet because I haven't had breakfast. I said, nobody made the rules on what foods are breakfast foods. As long as you eat at a certain time of day, that's breakfast. She's like, very true. Very true.
And the big problem with trying to follow those rules is that you end up being Martha Stewart.
Right.
Not that Martha Stewart's a bad person, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But she's a little stick up the butt.
Yeah.
And that's not a fun way to live.
No, it's not.
So, be careful what you wish for.
Speaking of IRS problems. Anyway.
Yes, right. Sorry about that, Martha.
Oh, wait, hold on. Jeffrey said unicorns are also a thing in the gay community too, because we're magical. See? So now I'm like, all right, you know what? It's fine. It's whatever. I'm still a unicorn. I don't care.
And the fact is, how many Urban Dictionary definitions or Wikipedia definitions or whatever, how many words have multiple definitions?
True. Very true.
I mean, Wikipedia actually has a page. What do they call it? They have pages where there's a particular term or particular word, and they'll give all the different possible uses of that name or word or whatever. I can't think what they call that. But sometimes you get like 30, 40, 50 on a page.
Yeah, you do.
So if they can't handle 3 different definitions of unicorn, there's a problem here,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so just create your own definition.
Yeah,
be a trailblazer.
I'm already settled in my ways, and it's my spirit animal anyway.
You might
start
a new trend.
I might. It's a movement, people. Get on it.
I mean, have you ever wondered what that would be like to start a trend?
I mean, I've started a couple of phrases before, but I've never started a whole trend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of phrases did you start?
Well, I definitely started actual factuals.
Okay. You're right. I have never heard that one before.
That's one of my most current ones. What else did I start?
Well, actual factuals is good all by itself. It's not like you have to have multiples.
Yeah, I do have multiples, but they're gonna pop up in my Facebook on this day things, and then I'll remind you.
Okay. All right.
It's like, what did I say 5 years ago? It's like, oh, yep, that was a movement.
So I guess you do know what it feels like to create one then, because you did.
I do, yes, a little bit, yeah.
What does it feel like?
It makes you a little angry for not copywriting it in the first place.
Well, there is still time.
Yes, there is still time, but it's like now with the internet, you don't know where memes or anything's starting. You just
actually, I think it's more of a trademark now that I think about it.
Trademark, watermark, all that stuff, Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to figure out where things began on the internet now, on the interwebs.
I often wondered about how it is that people end up deciding to file a patent or a copyright or whatever.
Yeah, how do you know when it's that important that you need to do it?
Yeah, I mean,
or is it always that important?
I think what it comes down to is there are just some people who are bound and determined to get a corner on the market for this idea, so they'll just patent anything. And there are people who are like that; they'll patent anything.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
they'll patent water if they can. I wouldn't be surprised if someone's tried that, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what some people do. They live for getting that putting your arm behind your back and holding it there routine. So they're the ones who are going to do it. I think the people who kind of hold back, who are wondering, okay, so when should I file a patent and so forth? Well, first of all, they're not the ones who want to bend anyone else's arm back.
Yeah, right.
And second of all, they're really not looking to make a fortune off their idea.
Yeah, they're just trying to help the world.
They're trying to help the world.
Yeah.
So here's people who are just trying to help the world. They may not get the credit.
Yeah.
But they deserve it.
I have something that I've been meaning to patent for years.
What's that?
I'm patenting it right now because I'm saying it live on TV, and this is the interwebs, and it'll be forever. So anybody comes out with this, timestamp right now. So
January 30th, 2020, 4:30 p.m. New York time.
So I came up with this idea for interchangeable bras, like interchangeable size of bras. So like some women are different sizes on each side. So I came up with a bra that you can hook in the front, hook in the back. They can be different colors if you want to punky brewster it. They can, you know, and you can buy one size for one side and one size for the other side, and you can have interchangeable things.
I'm almost shocked that that hasn't already been done.
This is what I'm saying, right? So no one steal my idea. I'm coming up with it.
Now, if you really are serious, you have to actually go out and patent it at this point.
Yeah, but then I'm like, who's going to make it for me? It's so much work.
Well, it's an interesting question because, I mean, well, first of all, we've gotten far away from grief and IRS issues. Which, but on the other hand, this is what happens when you do that. Yes. When you get away from it, you move into the more positive realm.
Jeffrey just gave me a name for my product.
Oh, what's that?
Adjust-a-bra.
That's not bad.
Because it's just a bra.
It is.
Love it, Jeffrey. Thank you.
The marketing is built in.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
He said abracadabra.
The abracadabra.
I like that one too. That was a good one. Oh my God. I got to holler at Jeffrey when I start marketing this.
Very good, Jeffrey. I'm definitely impressed.
Yes.
Well, they say always go to a gay guy for design, right? And this is exactly design, but it's in the same general area.
It is. Yep. Yeah. Oh man, good stuff.
That's very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. So you are going to go out and patent this then? No, I'm sorry. I won't push that anymore.
I don't know, because I came up with this idea probably 10 years ago, and I haven't done anything with it except talk to people about it. So the fact that it hasn't been done, and I've been like online looking at it and going, what the hell? Someone stole my idea. It's probably a sign that I should do something. But like clothing and design is not my thing. I just think it's a good idea.
Well, maybe part of the issue there is you're thinking of it in terms of should. It really has to be in terms of want to.
Right.
So maybe that's where the refocusing has to take place. You have to kind of pivot it around a little bit to something more in alignment with, this is what I want. This is what I'd like.
Well, I'm sort of at that point where like I would want it in my closet, but do I want to do it? No.
Well, that ties in with something that Louise and I are dealing with. We both, one of the things that happened during our visit with my brother and sister-in-law, my sister-in-law, as you know, received a doctorate in statistics. And that's one of the reasons we went down for vacation, was to be there for that. Which, by the way, the whole schedule got messed up. So she actually got her doctorate the day we were flying. So we actually missed the ceremony.
You missed the graduation.
Yeah, we still got to celebrate anyway. That was good. You say that as if it's a shocking thing.
No. Jeffrey just gave me a really good idea, but I'll wait till you're done to tell you.
Okay, well, hold that thought.
We'll pause.
But anyway, one of the other things that she is renowned for here on LOA Today, anyway, because she was one of my earliest podcast co-hosts, is she was originally pursuing her PhD in the neurosciences and neurobiology and that kind of thing. And that included studying nutrition and how nutrition works. One of the things that she was telling us about over our holiday there, over our 10-day period, was the effect of carbohydrates.
Oh.
She's very much an advocate of the Atkins or the keto approach, low carbs, high fat, high protein.
Right.
And she was giving us all the science behind it. And the science actually sounds pretty impressive. So we decided, okay, well, we need to make some changes. We both want to lose some weight anyway. So let's see if we can make some changes. So we started looking around. What we asked her, what can we do for like breakfast? Because breakfast is always Louise's hard thing. And so she suggested breakfast bars. So we started looking at the breakfast bars, and we bought a bunch of them and taste tested them. And quite honestly, they don't taste very good.
They're not that impressive.
They're not, no. And including the ones that are supposedly leaps and bounds above the others, they're still not.
Yeah, no. It's because there's no sugar.
Well, it's not. It's more than that. Personally, I just think that breakfast food should taste like food. It shouldn't taste like chewing gum.
What about granola bars?
Well, granola bars actually taste like, they feel like food. Yes, they're chewy, but
But
I
that's
mean, you can
that's
see the
what we're
nuts.
used to.
You can see the nuts. You can taste the honey.
Hmm.
You can taste. I mean, it tastes like real food.
Right. So the breakfast bars, you're like, I don't know what this is, and it doesn't taste like anything I'm familiar with.
And you read the ingredients, and you don't taste any of the flavors in the actual bar. The
Right.
bar
Right.
is just the bar is like chewing taffy with a little flavor.
Facts. Facts.
That's what it's like,
Hmm.
So we just come from the school of thought that says food should taste like food.
I agree. I
You know,
agree.
even if you're taking sugar out, it should still taste like food.
That's hard to do, man.
We're finding out just how hard that is.
Yeah, it is.
For instance, you want to go to the store to get yogurt. Now,
Hmm.
yogurt, that depending on what you're getting, if you're getting Dannon, that's just high in sugar. But
Hmm.
there are alternatives like Greek yogurt and so forth,
Hmm.
and you can get them. If you work really hard, you can find some that are high protein, high fat, low or no carb.
Yep.
But
Yep.
most of them are no carb
Yes.
and no fat
Oh.
and no protein.
So basically milk.
Well, milk
Well,
without any
milk has
nutritional
fat.
value.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has
Yeah.
protein.
Right.
So basically, they've taken all the nutritional value out, and that way they could say, well, it's low fat, which really it turns out is not a good idea if you follow
Yeah.
the
No.
keto approach. The keto approach
Right.
says, well, you're supposed to have actually high fat that helps to digest and remove the carbs
Right.
from your fat. So
Hmm.
you actually lose weight that way.
Hmm.
Okay, now I will put a little disclaimer down. There is a lot of controversy about what works for what people. Some people say nothing works. Some other people say, well, that didn't work, but this other approach worked. And there are 1,000 theories about weight loss.
Everybody's different. Everything works differently for different people.
It does.
Hmm.
So with that disclaimer out of the way, we're still pursuing this particular approach. And this approach says you go with high protein, high fat.
Hmm.
Amazing how few foods that are on the grocery store shelf fit that description.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Hmm.
And some of the breakfast bars that have come out, the so-called keto bars, which this description, are supposedly the next step forward toward producing, good tasting food for like breakfast bars and snacks and so forth.
But they still taste like cardboard.
They still taste like cardboard. There is something seriously wrong here.
Yeah, I know.
So I was actually entertaining an idea. I haven't even told Louise this idea yet, but we're kind of like experimenting with what can we create for breakfast food, that is high protein, high fat, low or no carb. And I'm not even going to aim for no carb. I'm going to look for medium to low. That would be because you can't even find that. That doesn't even exist. If I can get the carb, in like the 5 to 10 gram range for a serving, yeah, I'll go with that. That's fine.
Right.
I just don't want 30. So
Yeah.
right. That's what you usually get.
Right.
So if I can get it down to 5 to 10 grams, that may not be keto, but who cares? It tastes better.
It's closer than you were before.
That's right. Yeah. And you're burning it off anyway with the fat. So, you're fine. We found a recipe, a couple of recipes on a site, and I don't remember the domain name. It was something like ketorecipes.com, but it may not be that.
Were they fat bombs?
No, it didn't have a particular name. This was just one woman who has come up with her own recipes, and she's publishing them online for keto diets. Yeah, really good service she's providing.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And I don't know what the nutritional makeup of these products are. She may have listed there. I didn't study it carefully. So that's something we have to look at.
Okay.
But nevertheless, it was a starting point. Some of the ingredients Louise didn't like too much. Louise is a little bit picky about what ingredients she likes, but it gave us a starting point. So we figure let's start with that and then mess with it a little bit, try some substitutions and so forth and see if we can come up with something that actually tastes good and that's relatively lower carbs, relatively higher fat, relatively higher protein. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the thing about the keto products. The keto products seem to want to make it all or nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why are we setting the standard that high?
Yeah.
We're not producing good food that way anyway.
True.
So let's shift the standard. Let's lower the bar a little bit.
Yeah.
And go for something that actually tastes good that will improve your ratio of carbs to protein and fat. Okay, that's really what you're trying to do anyway.
Exactly.
Who cares about extremism?
Yeah.
So that's what we're aiming for right now. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could come up with something like that and then maybe sell it to a company to reproduce and make a lot of money?
Oh, you gonna patent that? Well,
first we have to create it.
See?
The one precedes the other.
Jeffrey said, can we have a show about nutrition, weight loss, and the law of attraction?
Sure, we can't. It's been a long time since we've done that, Jeffrey. You're right. I think it probably dates back to when Wendy Dillard was one of my co-hosts. Because Wendy is a fabulous wealth attractor, and she's a fabulous relationship attractor. Weight loss was always her thing. Everybody always has one thing that they struggle with, and that was her thing to struggle with. But in the last few months that she and I were doing the show together, she had a new project she was working on. She called it Project Body.
Ooh, okay.
Project Body was all about trying to learn how to use and apply conscious creation by itself toward weight loss.
I'm interested in this.
And I never did find out how that all worked out. I mean, she and I occasionally keep touch by email. But the last time she was on the show, it was at the point where she was finding that if she could keep her mind on what she liked, focused in that way on a regular basis, and then do so in a way that when it came to eating something, she would literally ask her inner being, can I eat this?
Okay.
It was like this conversation that she was having with her inner being. And if the inner being said yes, then she'd have it. If the inner being said no, then she wouldn't. Or as often happened, like she would want to have pizza, for instance. Right, and her inner being would say, you can have one slice.
Okay.
Which I thought was pretty good specificity for an inner being conversation.
Yeah, it really is. Because I'd be arguing mine all day. I'm like, no, we're having chocolate. Like, no.
Well, Wendy didn't argue with her inner being. She was really good at that inner dialogue.
Yeah.
Really, and she still is, as far as I know. She still is. She ended up leaving the show so she could just pursue her coaching career full time.
Right.
But she was really good at that. And when you can get it to the point where you can actually communicate and translate it into words. I mean, for me, if I can get a yes or no answer, I'm doing really well. She could do entire paragraphs. That's awesome. Pretty darn good. Yeah, it is awesome. It's a real skill. So anyway, she had pursued all that and was kind of applying the principle that Abraham Hicks teaches in which book is it? I can't remember which one of their books. There's a segment in one of their books where they talk about applying law of attraction specifically to weight loss. And what Abraham says in that segment is, if you have the right thought process, it doesn't matter what your diet is, which is really a revolutionary concept. I mean, it's certainly going to fly in the face of all the dieters that are out there.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
And the example they gave was even more radical. The example they gave was this. If you have the right process, the right mental process going on, and you go into an ice cream store and eat 100 tubs of ice cream, you won't gain a pound. But if you go in with the wrong mindset, you're going to blow up like a balloon.
Oh, the blow up situation. Oh, man.
Which is pretty controversial.
Yeah, it is.
You know, there are a lot of dieters out there saying, yeah, right.
I'm going to go to Ben & Jerry's and test that theory. I'll get back to you in a day.
Disclaimer, we do not recommend this method.
Jeffrey said maybe it's because she knew that one slice would make her happy more than it would make her feel bad or guilty.
Jeffrey, I think there's something to that. I think you've actually nailed it in at least some way, because I remember when she told me that particular story, it was one of our last episodes together. She was sounding happy when she described that.
Yeah. Because I think one slice, you can deal with. You can be like, okay, I had a slice, whatever. But, eating a whole pizza to the face, that's a little harder to deal with.
And the results that she was getting, now, again, this was early results, and I never found out what happened later on. She was losing like 1 pound a week.
Oh,
and she wasn't changing her diet.
Oh, see, that's the best part.
The only thing she was changing was her mindset. So I don't have enough data to say it actually worked to lose 100 pounds or 50 pounds or something, but she was losing weight doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all, I'm not going to say all, but mostly in the mindset of portion control, so what makes you happy and what makes you feel full. If you already have the mindset that you're happy and full, you may not need as much of the outside to make you happy.
Well, actually, this fuels another thought, but I want to make sure I get back to what you were going to bring up, because Jeffrey said something that just grabbed your attention, and you
Oh
put it
yeah,
up, you put it on
I'm
hold.
glad he wrote it because I forgot already. Back to the abracadabra, he was saying, think of the breast cancer survivors.
Oh yeah,
That's why I said,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
because they're dealing mostly with prosthetics and things like
yeah,
that, aren't they?
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No kidding.
Kenny's very interested in that because he wants to help. He wants to do free tattoos for people who have scars. So, like if you're a
Okay.
cutter, or if you've had one breast removed, or a whole mastectomy, or whatever, he wants to, do tattoos for free.
He's a tattoo artist, right?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good for him. Good for him
Yeah.
to be focusing on that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So does that mean you're going to like pursue it?
I don't know. Well, I'm super lazy. I like we know this about me. Anything I can't do from my bed and or my couch doesn't usually get done, except laundry.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you do the laundry from your couch, but
no, that's what I
in
said.
close
Except
proximity.
for laundry.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's down another floor. So yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually have to work a little bit.
A little bit. A lot of bit, because I got to go up another floor to get the laundry, then down 2 floors to put it in the, and then you got to put it in the. I told you, it's a scam by Downey. I'm telling you, it's just. It's like those people who believe that Valentine's Day was invented by the greeting card company. Like that's how I feel about laundry and Downey. Like, and Tide, them too.
I'm actually thinking about running an idea past Louise regarding Valentine's Day.
Oh, what are you going to do? Oh, I want to hear this.
I'm going to propose, and I think other people have actually done this, but I'm going to propose that she and I pick another date for Valentine's Day so I can get all this stuff and not have to pay an arm and a leg for it.
Holla at your girl. Let me tell you, because everything February 15th, everything is 70% off. Unless you're at Walmart, then it's 99% off. So yes, you know what? I'm stealing this from you. I'm going to talk to Kenny when he gets home from work. February 15th, we're doing it.
Because the impetus behind, expressing your love on Valentine's Day, that's a great impetus.
Right.
I just don't see why it should be making certain companies rich.
Right. I agree. And I feel like if you're doing it every day, you don't really need to celebrate Valentine's Day.
Well, this is true. This is true. But by the same token, and this is the point that Louise made to me many years ago, it's great to be recognized. It's great. It's great to be told, this is how I feel about you.
Yeah, but I get that every day.
So what's wrong with making a special day out of it?
Nothing's wrong with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's I'm just saying I'm not going to pay $1 million to go out to dinner in a crowded restaurant because everybody else is trying to prove a point. Like, no, yeah, February 15th. I'm with you on that. And it's the weekend this year. Yeah.
So I'm going to run it by Louise, see what she thinks.
Yeah, let's do brunch on Sunday. Let's do that.
Brunch on Sunday.
Brunch on Sunday. Yes. February 16th, we're celebrating Valentine's Day.
And I'm pretty sure that somebody, I remember reading about this a few years ago. Somebody had this thing where they were making it like, March 14th or February 28th or something. There was some other date. There was an alternative date for it. And I don't remember exactly what it was. But
well, remember how sad I was last year celebrating Singles Awareness Day?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a great point to bring up here because at that, anybody who wants to, they can go back and listen to that episode.
Yep.
And remember what it was like. You were not in a happy place.
I was not.
You were trying to put on a brave face.
Yep.
You were trying to find a positive, but it was a reach.
It was a reach. Yep.
And here we are a year later. What a difference a year makes.
Exactly. Yeah. 2019 was an interesting year for me.
And you actually had to get through, you had to go through one relationship in order to get to the second relationship. That was the good one.
I mean, I had to go through a bunch, but yeah.
Well, 2 that I knew about anyway.
Right. 2 that you were here for. Yeah.
Right. I mean, from last year.
Exactly. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, one more proof in the pudding that if you can refocus your attention, it pays off.
It definitely does. So now I'm going to refocus on weight loss because this is interesting to me.
Well, I really do believe that you can lose weight, or more precisely, you can slim down. That's focusing more precisely on what you like. You can slim down with just your thought process. But my take on it is, why do you have to limit yourself to just that? Why not do both?
You want to know something weird but kind of cool? When my grandmother passed away, my grandmother was a hot cup of tea. She was a rough around the edges. So I was the only one in the family who got along with her.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So when she passed, my mother said, I literally feel the weight off my shoulders, and weighed herself and lost 5 pounds.
No kidding.
I swear.
So what do you think what's your conclusion there? What does that lead up to?
That she had this mental weight that she was bringing with her onto the scale every day. And then once my grandmother was gone, it was gone.
Well, I'm going to bring in another factor that ties in directly to this. And I mentioned it the last couple of shows. I've been reading Dr. Joe Dispenza's You Are the Placebo book.
Yep.
And that book, one of the major points in the book is, if you think it, it becomes true.
Facts.
If you feel it, it becomes true.
Right.
And particularly in that book, he's trying to show how physiologically they've been able to map out exactly what that process is to make it come true, make it real, and why it is that our mindset is what governs our ability to heal or to not heal, depending on which way our mindset is. Well, we can certainly put weight loss in that same general category. It's a health issue.
Yep, true.
You know? So why not apply the same placebo principles to weight loss? And that is the mental side to it.
I agree.
Yeah. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. So what's your strategy going to be? I mean, are you going to do a mixture?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of both. I'm gonna do a little bit of focusing on the positives, and I'm gonna do a little bit of making sure that mentally I feel mentally full, and also gonna do a side note of keto. You know?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's really it. That's what we're doing. I mean, we're trying to reduce those carbs, and we're partly doing it to lose the weight, but mainly we're doing it to get the energy back. It's an odd thing about carbs. Yeah. Carbs will wear you out. They're exhausting. I get
so tired after mac and cheese, but I love it.
Oh, they're just
cheese is my problem. Cheese is my main issue. I will give up everything except for cheese.
I'm willing to bet that in the mac and cheese, it's not the cheese that's causing the issue.
No, it's the mac.
It's definitely the mac. Because that's where the carbs are.
Yep, definitely is. Yep.
So keep the cheese.
All right, I'll keep the cheese.
You remember the old song, "The cheese stands alone." So it's there. It's ready for you to take it.
Oh my God.
I know, that's a reach.
I was gonna say that's not even a dad joke, that's a grandpa joke.
I feel safe in telling that because I don't even have kids, let alone grandkids. So
exactly. Oh, fantastic.
But seriously, this also ties into the other, because we had a double topic today. The first topic being, dealing with, rough things happening in your life with IRS, and the other one being grief and dealing with that, which that's also a really rough thing to deal with. And we were talking about, okay, well, how do you shift your mentality? How do you shift to that thing that you like that seems so far away? Because when you're feeling miserable, it is far away. It's so far away.
I think that's the topic of today, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
So with that topic in mind, I think we're kind of addressing it.
I agree.
You do it in a multitude of ways. Just like with the whole weight thing, you address it physically and you address it mentally and emotionally. You do it. You do all of them.
Yes.
Because there's a lot to be said for taking specific actions that are conducive to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
Health-wise or anything else. And when we do take that constructive action, it fits in perfectly with the Dispenza theory. Because Dispenza teaches how, I'm going to really do some shortcuts here in order to get it out quickly. But he teaches that when you are trying to understand what's keeping you stuck, what's playing those tapes over and over again, it's all stored in your body. That's one of his main points in the book, that your body is kind of like your subconscious mind.
Right.
And that's where all the tapes are coming from. So you have to shift those tapes around. Well, one of the good ways to do that is to shift your behavior so that you're experiencing a new environment.
Yeah, don't take a bite of food and go, oh, this is going straight to my thighs.
It's not your best strategy.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Not your best strategy. That is true. Yeah.
We're trying to pivot from that. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. Exactly. And in the process, we end up discovering what that new way to look at situation is. Just by changing the environment. I mean, Cindy Chavez, she talks about how with her clients, if she has a client who's really stuck on something, just really stuck, and nothing that the client does, he or she does, can make any difference. Cindy says, go rearrange the furniture of your bedroom.
That's what I do.
Change the environment up. Because when you change the environment in some way, the old tapes no longer apply.
Yes, true.
So they
Every
don't
time I have
play
a
as
meltdown,
often.
I rearrange a room because I just feel so much better. I feel like I'm in control of the disorganization. Like that's why I rearrange rooms.
So I think that's part of what I'm going to do to deal with this IRS issue. I'm going to, it's not so much rearrange the room, although I should probably do that too. It's going to be more
let's
about,
move this office around.
it's going to be more about rearranging the way I'm dealing with this stuff. Changing my approach, because if you change your approach, it's going to have a different feeling, right?
You got to rearrange the room in your mind.
Yes. Yes, exactly right. Yeah. Because that's where the room really is. It's in your mind. Yeah, that's a great point. That's really good. You're welcome. Mark that one down. That's a hashtag.
That's a hashtag.
So we got about 4 minutes left. Any last Jeffrey, once again, is dominating the live stream, but any last comments from the live stream from Jeffrey or anyone else?
He said trademark blow up situation. That's already trademarked from like 2 years ago, but thank you, Jeffrey. When you're aligned, the energy and inspiration is there and helps move you. And another book about your emotions, mindset, and body. I think he's talking about Dispenza.
Ah, yes. Okay. So mindset and body. That it makes sense because that's the two aspects, the two keys. It's the physical and the mental. So good stuff, Jeffrey. Love it. Let's see. 3 minutes left. What do we do with 3 minutes? Well, one thing I usually do with you, aren't any spoilers? Anything going on that people need to know about from a spoiler perspective?
If you're watching This Is Us, or if you're not watching This Is Us, you need to get into it now.
Why is that?
It is. I can't spoil anything, but I'm just going to say the actors on this show, I can't even. They're so impeccable. And the writing, stop it. Stop it. Like, it makes you rearrange. It rearranges the room in your mind. That's what it does. It makes you, you're like, how did I not realize this was all happening until 5 minutes before the show ends? It's such a great show. But yeah, I was just.
So this is the Matrix for TV.
It is, but yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Yeah.
And that was a reach on my part. I was guessing.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a recommendation. That's a good thing. We should also remind people about subscribing and that kind of good stuff.
Definitely.
Let's do that. First of all, if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, be sure you become one. Most of you are now, and the numbers do keep increasing. We are over 500 and counting. And for those who are not yet subscribed, just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net. That's really the easiest way. And right at the top of the page are instructions on how to do it. And usually it's 1 click, sometimes 2 clicks, maybe 3 clicks, depending on what's going on with your device. But it's quick. It's quick. It's really quick.
Blame the device. Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, because it's device dependent and it's app dependent, and everybody's got different apps on their devices. So
True. Very true.
Yeah. So, but the point is, it's going to be quick no matter what your situation.
Yes.
And then you get all the good stuff coming to your device every single time we publish it.
Exactly.
And that's how we keep increasing our numbers. And that's how you get your daily dose of happy.
Hey.
And that's good stuff. And now, of course, they can also watch us on YouTube. And there are certain things to know about YouTube. So what are they supposed to know about that?
Okay. Well, first you got to go to YouTube, and then you're going to, in the search bar, you're going to click LOA Today podcast videos. And once you've done that, you will see our smiling faces. And down below, you will see the red subscribe button. Hit that button. And then next to the red subscribe button, there is a bell. Click that silver bell and make sure you hit all, so you will always be notified when we're live.
That's a good plan, good strategy, and I like that.
Yeah.
We don't really have a lot of time to go into it, and I kind of wanted to spend some time on this, so I'll have to do it. Maybe we'll do it next Tuesday or something.
Okay.
But I have an idea that I'm not yet ready to actually do, but I want to kind of get a sense of, is there any interest in our listening audience?
Okay.
Because it involves audience participation. basically, we've talked a lot about meditation in its
Mm-hmm.
various forms. We were talking about it on Tuesday with Dan Mangena.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were talking about Joe Dispenza's approach and how he gets particularly great results.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I find is always missing is how do we know what the vast majority of people get? I mean, we hear the stories about the exceptions,
Mm-hmm.
the ones who
Right.
stand up and take the mic, but there are, 400 other people in the audience. How did they do?
Right.
And I never really get a good sense of that. So I'm kind of toying with the idea of doing our own little mini study.
Okay.
And with that study, basically asking for volunteers from our listening audience
Mm-hmm.
to agree to be a part of it and to do a little extra work to help us accumulate the data that we need to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Some homework. Yep.
And there's not going to be it's not going to be one of these double blind studies where we trick you into something like that. It's going to be very, very straightforward,
Mm-hmm.
but something along the line of we will do a meditation and we'll ask you to give us some specific feedback about what it is you were trying to accomplish with it, and did you accomplish it, and to what degree did you get the result you're looking for, to what degree
Mm-hmm.
did you not get, that kind of stuff, and then see if we can
Okay.
turn that into numbers and see what we end up with, just to kind of create
Okay.
a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm toying with. And
Okay.
so I guess I'm putting it out there to say, if there are any listeners who think that's a good idea and you'd like to be a part of that, one of the best ways to make sure it actually happens is send us a note about it.
Yeah.
Because if I hear that listeners are really interested, well, now I have more reason to say, yeah, let's go ahead and do this little study.
Exactly.
You know, and I kind of see this as I called it a baseline for a reason. I see this
Mm-hmm.
as the first of many. So this is kind
Yeah.
of like a general one to just kind of lay down some data, and
Mm-hmm.
then we can start, based on whatever results we get there, we can be inspired to create a different kind of study to see, well, okay, well, can we expand on this particular data point that came out
Mm-hmm.
from the results that we got, and from that particular, and just keep adding to our knowledge about how this stuff works. So I put it out there, and if people are interested, send us a note. Send me a
Yeah.
note. You can send me an email, walt@loatoday.net. You can send us something on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever your best way is to get it to us. You can go to the website, loatoday.net, and fill out the contact form and send it to us that way. But
Mm-hmm.
send us a note. Tell us, what you think. And I presume if you're going to send a note, it means, yes, I do want to do it. So, tell us that you're volunteering, and I'll mark it down. If we get a significant number of people signing up, significant being, say, 5 or more,
Okay.
we'll give it a shot, see what happens.
All right. I like it. I like it.
All right. So good stuff. Well, thank you very much, Alex. And I love the topic you came up with. Really
Thank
good,
you.
very in depth. It merged beautifully with mine too, don't you think? I think it was a
Yes.
good
And I
dovetail.
think we polished it off very nicely.
I think we did.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff. So I will talk with you and Dan Magana again on Tuesday. So have a
Yep.
great weekend.
You too.
I will do that. And we hope that all of our listeners do the same. We'll see you all next time. Whoops, what? I got to get this going here. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.